uniforms, like they're included, like, obviously there's nothing we can do about that, including the high jump, that's included in the budget moving forward.
The high jump is a one-time cost, yes,
Right.
within the next year.
But it's in, okay.
Yeah, so, just to preview the next year, we did pause the wrestling match, which would be a request for the following year, so there is like a cyclical equipment nature as well. We like to try to, something I try to push is a cyclical nature, so they're predictable, they're kind of the standard amount, so they're not those big waves of high cost, low cost, high cost, low cost.
Okay.
It seems to work well. It helps predict from all the budgetary standpoints. They don't have a lot of movement. So that's just to give you a heads up of what next year's request is going to look like. I think Jeff already, Jeff Executive, we already talked about that. We did pause this year on those, do a high jump instead. Request next year.
One thing just to add there, Mr. Baker, I could throw in there, 2 years out, if not next year, we're gonna have mandatory costs for the outing shot clocks per PIA rule for basketball specific budget. So you guys are aware, similar to a uniform cycle, we're gonna have a large equipment cycle coming up with the needs.
Any
So,
additional?
I do. I want to ask you a question. On your presentation, and we skipped past it, so we're going to talk about it later. You started out the last time at our unassigned funds ending at 688,321, which is 1.454%, but now it's down to 640,421, which is 1.6%. Basically, you've reduced our unassigned funds, our estimated unassigned funds, by 47,900. What is the reason behind that?
You mean the remaining funds?
Yeah, the unassigned, yeah. The unassigned funds.
So just for clarification, 3.3 or the remaining after?
The remaining after the deficit hits it.
There, if you go to slide 7 real quick. So at the bottom, what's changed? So we reduced federal income by 10,000.
By 10,000.
We reduced workman's comp, so an expenditure by 7. We increased expenditures by 26,000. And also in the budget is the regular transportation route, the lacrosse co-op, which I'll take back out based off the conversation, and then girls wrestling. So those were shown in that number, which reflected movement as a decrease in remaining unassigned fund balance. So that's the difference between last time and this time. What's changed? I have a little snapshot there of what the changes are.
So let me get this right. We had the uniform cycle, 26,000. We had the regular transportation, added back in, and the girls wrestling.
Yeah, so the co-op, it's shown in here. So I wasn't sure what the decision was, so I showed it as being included based off of the decision saying it will be excluded Monday night. So we'll have an additional 8,000, so 648,421 remaining balance.
640,000.
648 or 640.
Oh, 648 because you're adding the 8 back on.
Correct.
Okay, for the girls across. Yeah, I see that.
Is there any other, Mary?
Tom, I see a replacement request for the water reel system, but there was no cost. How much is it?
So that's the 16,000, and that's approximately 16,000, and that's within Victor's equipment cycle, just like it is for athletics. He does have an established cycle, so that met those cycle requirements. So he's foregone it for I think 2 years now. When the board declined it, it's been being repaired to death essentially. It predates, I believe it's 25 years old. I think the repair costs last year were upwards of $3,000, so it makes more logical sense to buy a brand new one rather than keep repairing the
Right.
old
I mean,
one.
I've read all the stuff you had. And
So yes, he has a normal cycle for those large equipments. He just uses next year's for a water.
okay. And my last thing is, I would like the board to reconsider the LPN position not being terminated.
Well, I guess that's just gonna have to go around and just ask everybody.
Yep.
Well, can we have any discussion, like, explanation, maybe an
Yeah, that's what
explanation
I'm
that
saying.
Tom takes later?
So I'll do this handout here. So I did like a brief handout. So with the consolidations of the buildings and what funneled the request to remove the LPN was we're going from 3 buildings that have 4 staff members down to 2 buildings, and we're going to reduce down to 3 staff members. So you can see on the left in your handout here, we have a certified school nurse, that's the CSN. At the high school, we have an LPN at the middle school, and we have a CSN and an LPN located here at Howard Creek. That staff means two CSNs, two LPNs. With the combination of two buildings, we were going to have a CSN at the high school and middle school and one at the elementary to meet PD requirements. So PD requirements is to have one certified school nurse per 1,500 students. So we have above 1,500 students, we are required to have two. So that's the minimum requirement to help facilitate them if they're out absent or just help them for daily duties. The LPN would float between two buildings to supplement their workload. So by law, the minimum is two. We know there's additional need, so to address that additional need, we're going to keep one LPN on to support them. They would float between the high school. We have a tentative schedule down there on the right, so it would look like 7:30 in the morning, 10:45, and then we know the majority of the need for elementary students are normally during lunchtime and recess, which happens mostly 11 p.m. to 3 p.m., and they would be targeted to come in here to support the nurse down here in this building during those times. So due to the number of students we have at each building, what the requirements are, we thought that that was a reasonable attritional cut we could make, and that's for those reasons.
I would just add that I fully appreciate what Mary is saying, given the circumstances that we had this year that were very challenging, especially the last month of school. But I do believe with the consolidation of the schools and going to a 6 through 12 grade configuration with 2 RNs and 1 LPN and slightly under 1,700 students, we are well within the state guidelines, and I think I speak for Judy and Tom when I say we're confident we can make that work in a very good way next year. And that's one of the pluses because of the consolidation of the schools.
I agree that what you're saying, but we consolidated schools, but we still have the same amount of students. And when we have people out, what if those RNs are out at one time for say a week or so? Then we're stuck with one LPN that has to go between the buildings with kids on schedules for medications. I just don't agree. I think we should keep it.
Well, what happens if an RN's out? I mean, I know that the LPN would fill in, and then you only have two, you wouldn't have someone that
We
could
have
help.
a handful of substitute nurses we call upon in those cases that have been very helpful to come in and use. If that wouldn't be the case, we would then research, we could look at contracted services that would be supplementing those substitutes, and they could be a secondary substitute. We could look at other options, but that would be what the case would be if there's multiple out. Look at having a substitute in for that day, it's for an extended time, we could go to a different route on how to address those.
So we have an emergency type of thing, if we can go to somebody that we have a contract with.
No, that wasn't approved.
It
by the
wasn't
board.
approved by the board, so
No.
we did, I think it was April.
So I did work with you over it again this year.
So it was something April we looked at to address some of that, but yes, we looked at it.
And I do have a sub on the June agenda.
That's
Another
additional
sub.
one to our pool of candidates. Those are the nurses out for the day. Or multiple nurses, I should say.
Does anybody else have any other thoughts they're gonna have?
It is hard to get nurse subs, I will say.
We're well below the.
Yeah, so 1,500,
Yeah.
we are required to have two, but we do acknowledge the need for an LPN to support them in
Right.
buildings. We just don't necessarily see that there's a necessary for two LPNs with the consolidation.
Alec? Nope.
We're just going around.
You have more discussion? Discuss.
No, I just don't know why you keep starting with Ally and make her make decisions.
A.
No,
It's a lot of pressure.
Okay, that's it. Come on.
No.
Dwayne, you said that? What was the question? What are we gonna keep?
To bring put the LPN back in the budget is the question.
No, I think this example, this layout should be pretty good. We're legal under this, and if we have an extra person to float,
I'm gonna say no, but I would like us to look and the need's there, if they're having trouble getting substitute nurses, as Dr. Berryman just said, that we can reevaluate in the future. We don't have to wait until a budget cycle to talk about it, right? Like, if we're seeing in September, like, things are happening, the RNs are out, we can't get a sub in, we can bring it up and discuss it at that point.
I would say Dr. Berry would probably provide that in monthly updates if we're finding that it's not working and we have an additional request, signal the board ahead of time, research options to provide the board if this would come to expectations. So yes, we would address it and be able to handle that.
Okay.
I mean, when something like that happens, you're better to do a contracted nurse than add.
So we could come back and look at the
Yeah.
contract.
That's what I'm saying, that she could bring options to the table.
Right.
I did reach out to a couple of people, so like if we do have a prolonged medical again, I did reach out to a couple different agencies to say, it's hard to do a day-to-day because, you know, healthcare is such a shortage and they can, you know, make a little bit of money, but if we have an extended medical, we could work on a contract. They do tend to be a little pricey, as you guys saw with the last one, but, if we did have some situation where we were without one for a number of days or a week or whatever because of the medical.
Mary? Mary?
Well, of course I want it.
Okay.
All right, any other additional questions? Mary, did you have additional ones on your list? Anybody else? Okay, we'll jump into.
Well, I do really quick, in regards to the field trips, so like, does again, you know, nurse need to go, like, an overnight trip with our high school students, like, some of them went on, like, they go to big trips, they don't need to do that.
Only
Is
if
it
it's
because the students are older, so they can either do their own, or,
It depends on what the medicine is. So we had a student, we do have it in our policy where parents can, write permission for the, chaperone or the teacher, like not like just a volunteer, to be able to give the meds. Like they would carry it and give them the prescribed medication. We also have where, like, if there's no medical needs, a nurse doesn't go.
Right.
We did talk last year, at the end of the year, it seemed like, and sorry to pick on ACES tonight with the buses and the field trips, but field trips were like popping up on the schedule, and like I would have to reach out to Joey and like, we really have to have these scheduled ahead of time, because if I do need to get a nurse sub, like I need more leeway than a week to work on getting a sub.
okay, so, like, because we have to have a nurse go on the elementary field trips, but not necessarily.
Only if there's a student going on the field trip
Right.
with medical, yeah.
Right.
So what do we do so in that circumstance, what do we do when we have an elementary student that's going on a field trip that has a medical?
Generally, one of our nurses go.
So that would be on this new plan, that would be the floater?
Well, they work that out among themselves about who's going. Sometimes Kim goes, sometimes Lisa goes, sometimes I go. It really depends on where the field trip. Sometimes it's just.
But what I'm
walking.
saying is we'd use that third person is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say,
yes.
not the first.
Any of the three.
Any of the
It's
three.
open to any of the three.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
You know, was there, or my mistaking, Dr. Berryman, was there an ad out by LIU for a nurse for Alway Creek?
We had, I said that earlier, I don't know if you missed it, we had to use the LAU at the end of the year.
Oh, okay.
For one day.
Oh, okay. I just saw the ad and I thought they were in there this one, or?
No.
Okay.
All right, let's go into the minutes.
Okay, so I'll just open it up to the floor. If there's, right now, zeros was presented by the FP&S, so if there's a difference beyond zero, now's the time to ask questions, I guess, or have one showcase beyond 0%.
Do we want to discuss why we did zero? Do you want to? Of course, actually, the rest of, what we requested was shut down, right? Capital reserve.
Yeah, so, right now, the recommendation on the financials I showed you at 0 based off of the last FPS meeting. Since the full board's here, it's an opportunity to say if there's a different, I know there was discussion last time about what the tax rate could or couldn't be. So I now's the time, so we can have something official, have it advertised, to then be discussed on Monday. That is an advertisement requirement for that as well, for the intent to adopt.
So, does anybody have a thought other than zero?
I do.
Okay, what is,
As I shared last time, I think it needs to be a 2% tax increase. We're struggling. We're gonna be hurting this year. And we have no guarantee that the state's money is gonna happen. There could be some disaster or something big, catastrophic happen. We're not guaranteed to get money. Mr. Shoemaker did break it down for us at a $300,000 home, which is still even higher than our average home a month. Maybe $6.77. That's cheaper than going to McDonald's for a meal. I understand that there's people on fixed incomes, it stinks. But inflation and what's happening in our state, our county, and our country, schools aren't exempt from that. We all have to look at, we didn't raise taxes. I think we did 1% and then a 0%. And I think fiscally responsible isn't just not raising taxes. We have to be able to sustain our school district and our teachers and our staff. So I think that we need to be really cognitive of the fact that, yeah, we might have a surplus at the end of the year. We have in the past. But there's no guarantee that's coming. And so I think we need to prepare, and it affects all of us sitting around this table. It affects a lot of people sitting in this room. It sucks. That's where we're at. But we have to really have to look at this, and because otherwise something bad could really happen. And when I ran for school board, being fiscally responsible, and I feel like this is also being fiscally responsible in doing what we need for our students and our teachers and our school districts. And so I'm just trying to look at it and see, we're not the index like other school districts. I think Gettysburg just went to 3.5. For Union, I think went to 4.5. Huh?
4.6.
Yeah. New Oxford, the last, I think, year or two has raised it all the way, to the index of their district that they can. So I think it's a reasonable ask. And it looks like the Farmstead Homestead might cancel out some of that for those that it affects, so it'll be basically a zero for them. But I think we need to be wise, and we have to make a hard decision, just like each one of us has to make a hard decision for our family to cut things out, to not do things. With the price of gas, which it is coming down, but maybe making one trip into the grocery store and Walmart, wherever you need to go, instead of going in a couple times a week. So it sucks, but I think that's a reasonable ask.
Mary?
I agree, I think at least 2%. Can you circle back to me, please?
Well, the finance property supplier, we've already given our opinions, so.
This is an opportunity for the whole board.
So just for context, we need to have at least an option A and an option B. So if it's FP&S of 0 and an option B of 2%, that's fine, and the board can vote between the two. We have to have something that the board can vote on.
I'm just saying, go to Dwayne.
But I'm just getting context that I can do 2, so I just want to say that it can happen with 2. Ideally, I would love 1, that we can have 1 and have a discussion and see those nuances about the 1. But if there is 2, just like we can talk about Gettysburg a lot. Gettysburg got 3 options. There's options. I just personally like 2 because it makes it a little less confusing if there's 3. I just have an A and a B to pick from. So just the context.
Does anybody else feel like Mary and Janelle?
Well, I'm just saying, you gotta ask Dwayne and Ally, because they're not a finance property supply.
I was thinking the 2% also.
Right?
my situation is 2.5 years I've asked this board to stop spending. So I'm not gonna sit here and make a determination on what the tax rate's gonna be.
Yeah, so why don't you just move forward 0 and 2?
Or his
What is
thought.
your proposal?
My proposal is to stop spending. I said that 2.5 years ago. And you all spent into oblivion, not me, you all did, and now here we sit.
Yeah.
So I'm not coming in and cleaning the mess up.
Surpluses that we've spent into oblivion. Every year we got
We still
surpluses
spend
after
more.
we've been $2 million deficits for budgeted.
And with ACTI, like, we have now purchasing land, so that is, like, this is, like, we're here, we're at that point. We have to have something for that each year too.
Just so there's clarity, from the committee, I wanna hear, do you still hold to your decision that you brought forth, or do you have a different opinion?
Guys, it's like a 10 and 9. We have
I'm
another meeting
asking
after. People need
What do you
to
have?
speak.
No, do you still stay with the recommendation that we made, or have you possibly changed your mind? Yes.
Well, the problem is the recommendation we made, they've already said no to the capital reserve, you know, using the capital reserve. So that shoots down a lot of what we said.
So the context is, right now it's 0 to, is there a different option? Does the FP&S committee, based off all the information, a lot of information tonight, are they still in favor of 0? Are they in favor of 2? Or are they in favor of a third option? Just wanna hear from everybody. We wanna be able to have a nice discussion Monday behind an option. I don't wanna come back to Monday and say, well, actually now I'm thinking about 3, or now I'm thinking about 1.5, or whatever. We just wanna be able to have it tonight and have another discussion on one option on Monday to be voted on.
Can I also add that we just added a second autism class too? So, I mean, there are things here that we need to really consider. Like, and the spending, as you were saying, Dwayne, like, that's something we have to do. We have to provide that. We can't get away from that.
And Dwayne, you should bring solutions to when you say cut across the board.
I did bring solutions.
No, well.
I said, have every department re-examine their budget and cut, because they're the only ones that really know truly what's in it. You can send all the figures you want, but when you're self-employed and you're running an operation, you got 11 people working on you, you tell those 11 people, go find it, and they come back and they find it. That's how you do business.
We as a board, or we as a committee, bring context or information and advise the full board. The full board that does the governance. So you as a elected official bring governance to the administration and to the district. So how would you make those cuts?
I would go to every department and tell them this is how it's going to go.
Okay, what does that look like?
Well, they're head of the department, they gotta figure it out.
Well, you're governing and you're authorized.
I told my employees, you all gotta cut 10% out of your budgets, they would have to go do it, not me.
The board does not manage the day-to-day operations.
No, they don't, but we manage the money.
We don't come up with the answers as to, never mind, whatever. You're asking, I mean, I understand that we're gonna bring cuts and stuff, but I don't know why it's our job to find these cuts.
Right.
We're looking to them to bring us the information that we asked for. He's asking and making statements in direction and saying he's bringing solutions.
Pretty simple.
So that they can do what they gotta do, but you're not giving us any solutions. You're just making a sweep back and forth and just saying, this is what we gotta do. And it doesn't give us a sense of direction or guidance what we should do. So are we going with the 2 recommendations of 0, or are we going with the 2 and we move that forward for Monday night?
Before we discuss that, can we find out if we have the 200,000 or the 67,000, whatever it was, for the buses, for the extra route, or is that still on there or
He's
not?
looking into that and coming back with.
Okay, so they're gonna bring
They were
that
gonna
back.
That might be,
That was a couple hours
something that
ago.
comes back, yes, for discussion.
Okay.
So I'm not hearing anything else. We'll have 0 and 2 on the board for discussion Monday. Maybe there'll be one Monday that everybody can, the board members can get behind, and we'll have one to vote on. Is there anybody in opposition to that?
I think we're giving our recommendation, if they wanna have
does the FPS have a new recommendation that takes place of what proceeded from last meeting? I guess that was the question Stephen had, is if you have a difference of opinion from 0% from last time, now changed.
No, I mean, what I'm saying is, what we recommended last time doesn't sit anymore, but I don't have a different recommendation.
So I think just by default.
But I don't know how you support a 0% anymore when they shot down using the capital reserve. That's $1 million right there that we, gotta use general fund now.
So, Donna,
Which messes up the budget.
Steve,
are you in favor of 0 or 2?
I don't know how you guys can even do a budget. Honestly, don't. You want the truth? Here's the truth. I'm taking my glasses off. I'm getting serious. Remember I take my glasses off? I'm getting serious. Okay? Here's the deal. We're given all these numbers and they're constantly moving around. It's not even a shell game anymore. It's like a coconut game. Okay? It's out of control. The numbers don't match it's just a mess. And when we don't we make policies, every board meeting we make new policies. You asked, I'm sorry. You asked, so you're getting it. Every board meeting we make policies. And guess what? I've only been on here since October. Maybe this will be a short ride, I'm not sure. But you know what? I've already identified 3 different policies that this board, and I'm not naming individual people, but we're responsible for this school system. This board didn't even follow the policies. There's 3 policies. So it's okay. When it was brought up to their attention, what happened? Oh, we should rewrite the policy, change the policy, and make it appropriate. So now, hold on a second, and you can tell me whatever you want, okay? So now, you guys are looking at taking the money that you thought we could spend and using that to go with a 0% tax increase, okay? So then we find out we can't do that. So, but if we do it anyway, we'll just rewrite the policy.
That's not true. What couldn't we
Just
do?
like it wasn't true when they bought a 0-turn lawnmower.
No, we didn't know
What,
they did that.
what couldn't we
But
do?
we're rewriting that policy now, Bill.
Not because of that.
Okay.
I think we need to
Just coincidental.
focus back on what the,
Yeah, I want to answer. What couldn't we do? Because what we brought to the board we could do, and the full board, including you, voted it down.
You know
when
why
the week
we're-
before in the finance meeting, you said let's take $2 million from the capital reserve, and we came up with a legal way that we could accomplish the $1 million recommendation that the full finance committee unanimously made, and you voted it down.
It wasn't
Well,
unanimous.
you wanted 2 million. You didn't just want 1. You wanted 2. So that really confused me as to why, when you think that one way in this meeting, you voted down in the second meeting. That didn't make much sense. As far as the policies, I don't know of any policies that we have, as a board, have broken and just decided to rewrite because we've broken them.
You know why we're actually sitting here right now tonight in this particular situation with this budget, as confusing as it is and as challenging, and the numbers are constantly changing? You know why? Because we dragged our feet doing this budget. We dragged our feet because you were running for state rep.
That's the most ridiculous statement, and there's a lot of them
Sorry,
that you've made over the months, but it's one of the most ridiculous statements you've ever made. It has nothing to do with anything.
It's okay.
We've had, nobody's drugged their feet. We've had meeting after meeting, so we've had additional meetings before the election. You didn't come to them, but we've had many finance, property, and supply meetings. So that had nothing to do with anything. Again, you can make up stuff and you can say whatever you want, but I'm not going to tolerate lies being told about the board, about me, because it's just simply not true. You know it's not true, and we'll go from there.
so Donna, I mean, you bring these questions and you bring pretty strong, hey, you're not doing this, you're not that. What do you recommend? What is
It's
your
hard to
solution?
tell what to recommend because every year, you know, you guys say that you're in a huge deficit, and then next thing you know, when we get the audit done, we're not at a deficit at all.
So,
We're not only a little extra, there's like millions of dollars of surplus. And it's not, this just didn't happen 1 year, this has happened for approximately 8 to 10 years now. I'm not making this up, this is factually correct.
so,
Jeannie, am I wrong? Tell me if I'm wrong.
That's what we've been saying, yeah.
But it's like you say that, and which we agree with, but then everything that's been done is always wrong, and
I
we
didn't
never
say
hear
everything that's been
solutions. We never hear solutions. We just hear we just hear complaints. So what's the solution? If we're not doing it right, you think that the whole board has never done a thing right
I
since
never
you've been
said that.
on here.
I never
What's the
said that.
solution?
I never said that. I never said you guys haven't done a thing right.
all right,
So you want to,
Let's-
if you
we-
saying
we-
0%, you want a 0% still? Because that's what he's asking, what are your thoughts? Are you still going with what the committee recommended, or do you have another
No,
thought?
I think we need to go back and cut. I think we need to go back
But
and cut.
we had some discussions that, I don't want to have to go to an executive session. We're hands tied, we know this.
Okay, so we're at a point now, we want to give them, Tom, a direction, and we're either 0 or 2.
I'll tell you what the solution is on those two's behalf, Janelle. They're never going to side with either end of the stick. They never vote for any type of expenditure. They never vote for any budget because they never want to be held responsible for any decision that's made. And it's always, well, I never agree, we're never going to do it, and it's all your fault, and I've been telling you this and I've been telling you that. They never pick a side because they never want to be held accountable for a decision that the board makes. They vote against every month. They vote against the general fund checks to pay our bills every month. They never want to be held responsible. They never want to put their name behind anything so they can point the finger and say, it's all the rest of them. So that's why we don't get any answers out of them. We don't get any solutions. That's the reason. So if anybody wants to know, that's why.
I mean, I sat down, looked at everything, and that was Tom and Judy, that was asked, bring something to the table. So I did. And nothing's gonna happen. We discussed this, you know, we're in a really hard place. And we can't guarantee that surplus is gonna happen. We just can't.
We've already been told that it's
Yeah,
at least
Tom.
an operational $1 million surplus for this year.
But even if we don't raise taxes though, Judy, we still have ACT. We still, we've been 1.7 million. That's a lot of money. So that's even over the million that we'd be getting in.
So-
It stinks.
So while we're on the soapbox here, let's go back over what really happened in 2024. In 2024, Nick Liddell came on the board and he spent a lot of money. And then when he
No,
came to
that's not
raising
true.
1%, when it came to raising the taxes,
Not true.
he literally said no
Not true.
and let everybody else raise
You
taxes.
said no.
12-year-old.
Didn't you say
You
no?
said no. Let me vote for the
We're gonna
spending.
take a recess for 5 minutes.
I said
Taking a recess for 5 minutes.
I'm leaving. I have a 12-year-old at home by herself, and I'm not staying any later.
Take care, Mary.
You too. Be safe, okay? Watch our cord.
We can't record.
Thank you all for